everybody. Welcome to our Easter reflection conversation with our Jubilee leaders. My name is Gavin and I'm here with
Chris. I'm Chris. I'm one of the leaders here at Jubilee as well. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, Gavin.
Yes, no, it's really exciting. So, Chris, the idea of this really is just to have a chat and a conversation about Easter.
Yes.
So let me ask you first of all, what does Easter mean to you personally this year?
Well, same as everyone else, I guess. It's a beautiful time of the year where we get to reflect back on just the life of Jesus Christ, right from him coming, and as Christians we believe that he came to live a life and demonstrate a life of a king, but yet someone who's human, and then dying on the cross, and that that 3-day period of him going to the cross and all that happened. And it's just a time to reflect, and this year mainly actually we've took the time to try and bring this story alive to our kids. And we've got this lovely booklet by the Bible Society that kind of illustrates the life and the death of Jesus Christ in a lovely way. And so Easter this year has really been about trying to teach and bring that story to life for the young ones.
And because our kids went to watch an Easter film this week, they did that. It's just a good time, isn't it? It's the freshness that it brings to the kids, which I love.
It's really it's good to see how these things kind of impact us as adults, but also on the young ones as well.
Next generation, and then obviously you work in a secular world, so it's 4 days off work as well. Time to pause, which is significant, isn't it? I think.
I mean, that's kind of one of the most important things, isn't it? The bank holidays.
Totally.
You get the bank holidays back, and it's time to just pause and enjoy time with the family.
Definitely. I think that with the Easter story as well, it is that moment to pause. I think if you look at the story, there's that gap in between Jesus dying and the amazing Easter Sunday, which is just a chance to just pause. And in our lives today, the busyness of it, being able to pause is just something that's missing for a lot of us, isn't it? Easter reminds us of that. So now, talk about your own life then. Is there ever been a moment, Chris, when the resurrection has felt real to you personally?
Yeah, I think in my own life personally, it's been a journey, and always believing in God, and also the fact that he loved us so much that he sends his son Jesus, and for some that kind of revelation can be a real big experience, but for me, I think personally it's been a journey. It's been going on this journey of learning to believe and to trust in this love that God has given me, and so I guess for me personally it's just learning to live in that.
There's something about that journey which a lot of people can sometimes miss the beauty of. So often when we hear a story of someone coming to faith, it's that big moment of my life was like this and then suddenly it's like this, but actually for a lot of people it's not. It is a journey over time. And I guess the resurrection reminds us that it is a moment, but actually it's a journey that leads up to that moment, and I guess that's certainly the case for you.
And that's the case for me, absolutely.
So thinking about the Easter story then, everything, the cross, Jesus' arrest, the Last Supper, going into the tomb and the resurrection. What's your favourite part of the story? What stands out to you?
What stands out to me? I mean, recently I've took time to just kind of read the story afresh, and again, the beauty of the Bible is it speaks to you in different ways. And for me, as I read the Easter story again, I think one of the things that kept sticking out to me was kind of the shocking element of all that was happening through the period, as Jesus, as he came, as he taught, and the life that he lived, but then also his journey to the cross, and kind of the shocking element of some of the things that we read that he went through. And as you read again, actually this was to fulfill the prophecy of this, and for me, sometimes you think, well, what if that didn't go according to plan? But actually, it all did, and it all fulfilled the Old Testament prophecies. And so it's that kind of element of shock that, wow, these things actually happen, and then Jesus in his life and some of the stuff that he goes through, it's kind of reflecting on that. It wasn't an easy. No. We don't like to think about death a lot in our culture, but when you do take that time to pause, to read that story afresh and reflect on, this was in all his humanness dying.
It's crazy. It took me a lot of years to watch it because I'm not very good with blood, but watching the Passion of the Christ film.
Yes.
And I remember watching it like only a few years ago, to be honest, and just the shocking like nature of how Jesus was beaten and the bruises and the blood and the crown of thorns. You know, I always thought of the crown of thorns as like a little thorn you get in your finger.
No, it's actual
like massive,
thick spikes.
Oh, and the horror of what Jesus went through for us is just, it's unimaginable. I think for me, the part of the Easter story that I love most is Jesus on the cross with the two guys next to him, and you've got the guy mocking him, you know, get yourself down from the cross, weren't you meant to be the Messiah? And then the guy next to him who just has this moment of, I'm a criminal, I've done wrong, but please remember me. You know, he can't put his life right, he can't do anything about it, he just says, Lord, just remember me.
Remember me.
That's the gospel, isn't it? You know, we don't have to do anything, we have to accept the free gift of Jesus' grace.
And there's a lot of mocking going on whilst he hung on the cross, isn't there? I recently read, as he hung there, the signs that said, King of the Jews, and you know, a lot of these things that were put in place to mock him, but actually these are things that people looked on and thought, actually, he is the King of the Jews. You know, you meant it as a joke, but it's true.
It's amazing, isn't it? Almost like someone planned the whole thing.
Absolutely, almost like that.
So thinking about the resurrection then, and Easter generally, how does that impact the way we live today? How does it impact the way that Chris lives today?
Well, I personalise that. So, you know, the beauty of the resurrection is, it's that whole, coming back from the dead. That's that's what Jesus did. And with that, we see almost a newness. And so, you know, looking into that and how that impacts my life and how that impacts the way that we live, it's, it's remembering that, a lot of what, we read that Jesus does on the cross is to kind of remove and to cleanse the sin, and that it's in the world, that's in the world, and that we often end up doing, and it's remembering that actually Jesus came and he died to all of that. And so how that impacts me is that actually I can now live in this newness. I can now live in as a resurrected person in Christ. And what that means for me is the way I look at other people, the way I look at sin in itself, knowing that Jesus died for me makes me not want to, actually dabble in some of the things that just aren't good for me, or what we would class as sin.
Absolutely.
And so that's what it means for me.
And there's something about that newness of our life as well. So the things that once defined us no longer define us. If your life was once like this, but the resurrection is actually, there's newness. You put your trust in Jesus, there's a new life for you. I always find that amazing. I think. The other thing that I always find inspiring about the resurrection is the fact that it is like securing something for us for eternity. You know what I mean? So yes, we've got to live in the fullness of it today. We've got to enjoy a new life that Christ gives us in our everyday. But in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about that eternity with Jesus.
Future
death and resurrection means that forever we've got a place secured in heaven. And on the bad days, that's definitely something that keeps you going, doesn't it?
Yes.
Do you have any encouragement then for someone who might be struggling this Easter? Just thinking about Jubilee, there's people who will be struggling. Anyone watching this, there's people who will be struggling. And what encouragement can they find from the Easter story?
I guess struggle, hardship, pain. That's all part of this story, the Easter story. We see that in the life of Jesus, and we see that in the life of the disciples and the people that were closest to him. These were difficult times, but in all of it there is joy, and there is that, like you just excellently touched, the newness of life. And so we can look to Jesus and see that actually in all that he's done, he's brought new life, and we can trust in that. It's not the pain and the sorrows don't last forever. Totally. In all that people go through in this world, and in all that we see happening in the nations around us, when we put our trust in Jesus,
Yeah.
we can be rest assured,
Definitely.
that He will see us through,
No,
and He will bring joy.
I love it, yeah. I know, because the Easter story is great. We can put ourselves in different parts of the story. And what I mean by that is there's some people who will be in the midst of suffering.
Yes.
That Friday, the beatings and the sham trial that Jesus went through, and the carrying the cross. There's people who are in the midst of the battle at the moment,
Yeah.
There's people who are in the waiting, in the confusion, in the pain of the Saturday. Was this all for nothing? Is Jesus? There are people who are facing situations at the minute, and it just feels like there's silence from God. Where are you up to? Wherever you can put yourself in that story, you know that the ending is coming.
It's really good.
Friday is good because Sunday's coming.
Yes,
the
brilliant.
Sunday is coming. So I guess my encouragement for people who are struggling this Easter is that the story's not finished. Actually, we've got Sunday to look forward to. No matter where you're up to, there is hope for you, and I think that's a bit of wisdom and a bit of hope that people just need to hang on to.
Absolutely, that's beautiful. Well said.
Thank you. I didn't even practice that.
That's really good.
Chris, if you could leave people with one thought to challenge them this Easter, what would it be?
One thought. I guess what's been on my mind is that whole element of shock.
Yeah.
So I think that is one thing. It's good to consider and to look at the life of Jesus and realize, kind of how a lot of what happened, was part of the supernatural. And then also for me, it's the realization, that like we touched on earlier, we don't like to see, to read or talk about or watch things that involve death. But also it's good, especially in the life of Jesus, to reflect on what that means for us, and see how actually we can find joy, we can find kind of a peace in all of that.
Yeah, definitely. No, I love it. And I think if I could add anything at the end, it's just to go right back to where we started, and that is this Easter, don't be afraid to stop. I think that's the thing God's really reminded me
reflect.
of this Easter. Don't be afraid to stop and reflect. We're both young dads, we've got little ones at home, we know that life's busy, we both work full time. There's something about Easter, yes, there's the holiday of Easter that allows you to stop, but there's also something about the story of Easter that speaks into that. Just stop, just reflect, and just focus on what God's doing.
Absolutely.
I think that there might be people watching this video who don't know God. I would encourage them to stop, reflect, and see, is there anything in this story that impacts you and means something for you? And hopefully they'll find that there.
You definitely find something, actually.
We should be sure. Brilliant. Well, Chris, we should stop there, but it's been great chatting to you. It's been great.
Thank you very much for having me.
For watching, and
thanks, guys.
We'll see you next time.